Hey, Alan here for Old English Outfitters. What we have here today is the FN PS90 PS, semi-automatic version of the P90. Now, this is a very interesting weapon. There's some things about it that are exactly like other weapons, and there's a whole host of things that are very different than other weapons. So to understand it, you kind of have to go back to where it came from, right? This is the PS, so we've got a 16-inch barrel, so it's legal to sell without NFA paperwork and all that sort of thing. It came from the P90, which was developed by Fabrique Nationale, FN, in Herstal, Belgium, way back when. It was designed as a personal defense weapon. The mission for the weapon of this type is to have a shoulder-fired weapon that has some limited anti-armor capability that you can issue to people who don't require a regular main battle rifle or assault-type rifle. These are people like artillery crews and vehicle drivers and repairmen and so forth and so on, who may need something like this if they're close to the forward area of a battle, but they don't need something that's larger that they're not going to have with them. So part of their design parameters was something that was very streamlined, very easy for folks like that to carry, very easy for them to tuck away into places in vehicles and things like that, where it can be ready at hand, but not obtrusive, not in their way. P90, of course, is select fire and has a 10-inch barrel, not a 16-inch like this. You really can't talk about this without talking about the design of the P90 because excepting the barrel length, this is pretty much what you have here, right? It's a bullpup. Like other bullpups, the action is all back here and the trigger is up here. It's an extremely right or left-handed friendly, completely ambidextrous bullpup. The magazine release is on top, pulls back here. The charging handle's on the side, either side. The safety is located right here at the bottom of the trigger. So you can operate it from either side. It's real simple. And this gun, very simple. So it's fire or it's safe. The full automatic guns have the trigger design where you pull it once, you get semi-auto. You pull it all the way back, you get full auto. So a little different. Used, of course, by militaries and some law enforcement folks around the planet. But the streamlined nature of this thing makes it very interesting. Now, because it's very flat, like other weapons of this type, you got sights that are up here in the air, quite a bit high above the line of the bore. This particular variant has a Picatinny rail on top, and we actually have backup sights in here. There's a small post in the front of this mount, and there's a really small hole in the back of this mount where you could actually, you've got an iron sight here. It's very rudimentary, very rudimentary. And this hole is awfully small. So it's usable, but it's not going to be real fast or easy to use. It's intended only if the primary sight up on top goes down for whatever reason. This particular version has a vortex sight up on top of it. The magazine. Very interesting magazine. It's kind of a helical sort of a magazine. The bullet's set this way. It goes on top like that, so it feeds straight down. And being completely ambidextrous, it ejects through the bottom. So it doesn't throw any shells left or right. So it doesn't matter which side you're shooting it from. It's going to be very forgiving. The magazine holds 50 rounds. 50 rounds, 5.7 by 28. Now, we've talked about that cartridge before. Personal defense weapon cartridge. Ballistically, folks compare it to .22 Magnum. Similar ballistically as far as speed and trajectory and all that. Bullets for this gun are different. They're obviously a center-fire bullet, so they're full metal jacket or expanding type bullet. Military-grade bullets have a penetrator in, so you can get some at least limited penetration of body armor types commonly worn by anyone who we would view as an enemy in the world. So that's the idea behind this. But the streamlined portion of this thing is just very interesting. This magazine sits on top of the gun, so it's all right here. Nothing sticks off the bottom. The only thing that sticks off the bottom of this gun is that hand stop right there. What they've done is they've taken the pistol grip and basically folded it back into the gun. They've taken a foregrip and folded it back into the gun. So when you hold it like this. Now, that has some serious advantages. For one thing, when you're holding it, it keeps everything back here. You're not way out here. It keeps everything back here where you're strong. Makes it easy to hold. Even fully loaded, this thing's not very heavy. but it also keeps it all very streamlined. Again, nothing hangs off the gun either way except for the sights up here and that hand stop. So the whole thing is extremely streamlined, very easy to tuck into a pocket, very easy when slung to sling behind your back or sling somewhere where it's out of your way. If you had a weapon catch, some of you may know what a weapon catch is. If you had a weapon catch, you could put this thing on a sling, put it down on your belt, hook it to the weapon catch, and it's going to stay put pretty well. And in the military grade version that has a 10-inch barrel, it's pretty darn short, and it's not going to be in your way. Now, of course, if you are a civilian and you say, well, I'd like to have that 10-inch barrel, well, you can file the NFA paperwork and make that happen. But the normal version that sells off regular paperwork without NFA paperwork looks like this. Interesting weapon to fire. Trigger's not very good. Straight up honest, the trigger's not very good. Not intended to be very good. It's not intended to be a precision weapon. It is a personal defense weapon. So it's designed for close quarters, probably 100 yards in end. It's kind of what it's designed for. So they didn't put a precision trigger on it by any stretch. Most bullpups have a better trigger than this. If you like bullpups and you like the 5.7 by 28 and you like something that's just weird looking but really neat, this is an interesting way to go. We can get these. We've been having them. As always, check with us for current price and availability because that could change. Occasionally, configuration changes. Sometimes you get them with more than one magazine. Sometimes you get them with a sight or without. So it just depends a little bit. But it's an interesting weapon to be sure. One of the bullpup type weapons that's taken on around the world because they're short, handy, convenient, and they have some interesting features that while they're very different than most conventional things we're used to, give you some advantages that other conventional things don't. Okay, so there we go. The PS90 with its 50-round magazine. That's what we have for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Alan for Old English Outfitters.